This morning at just about 11:30, English cegeps in the Montreal area, Dawson, Vanier, John Abbott, Marianopolis, Champlain College, will be holding protests on their respective campuses over Bill 96. With more, we go to Amanda Cockburn, Dawson professor in the English department. Amanda, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So, in a nutshell, tell me about today's protests. I know they're about Bill 96, but let's talk about why you and your fellow CEGEPs have decided that they need to protest in a major way today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, the formidable and impressive student unions from the host of English CEGEPs that are participating in the rallies today are concerned about the rights of students who will be entering CEGEP, under the application of this bill. And I'm proud of them because they're acting like good citizens. The bill won't affect them. They'll be graduating before changes are implemented, but it will affect, their brothers and sisters and other students in Quebec. So some of the things that the students are really concerned about is the lack of choice that the government is giving them in choosing what language they can study at the post-secondary level. So this is kind of fundamental in terms of student rights to education. One of the stipulations of the bill is that they will be capping enrollment in the English CEGEP system, therefore stunting growth, but growing enrollment in the French system. So this seems unfair to our students. There will be room for some Francophone and Allophone students at English CEGEP, but we're not sure how much room. Mm-hmm. We're not sure if that means, Anglophone students who will be prioritized. Those students with lower grades after high school will be admitted into English CEGEP before their Francophone or Allophone counterparts who perhaps performed more excellently in their high school work. So that seems unjust to the students. On top of that, what the government wants to do is implement a French exit test at the English CEGEP for those Franco and Allophone students. And they want it to be the exact same one that they use in the French system. So the result of this implementation would mean segregation in English CEGEP, so that English students or Anglo students would be in one stream and Francophone and Allophone students would be in another stream to study their literature courses. And these courses are really fundamental to CEGEP education. They're not related to student programs necessarily. Instead, we discuss citizenship, issues that affect common humanity, topics outside of a capitalist imperative to help students get to work and make money. So it's really important to have a diversity of students and a cross-fertilization of ideas in these classes. And it's really disgusting to teachers and students alike that the government is going to kind of impose this sort of linguistic segregation. And there's all sorts of fallout that will happen from that, just in terms of students' R scores, if French students are taking different courses than their Anglo peers, will there then be inequities? They would be taking more French than their Anglo peers would be taking English, which means, the Anglo students would be able to compete more successfully afterwards in the job market and at the university level. So those are some of the things that students are worried about: mm-hmm. segregation, the lack of choice, the harm on their future studies and professional choices. On top of that, everyone is really upset that this will impinge upon Indigenous students. There's new barriers for Indigenous students who are not fluent in French. And of course, this comes with loaded colonial history.
And Amanda, I just want to jump in here because, from what you're telling me and as you've been speaking here, one thing that strikes me here, you're talking about allophones, francophones, Indigenous students. Yeah. So this goes far beyond just the concerns of the Anglophone community.
Absolutely. This is not an Anglophone issue. Any parent in this province, any student in this province should be outraged by some of the ideas in this bill. And it's no wonder, because there has been no consultation with educators. This is all happening very quickly. The government has said forthrightly, we're going to implement these changes. Take a sledgehammer to a system that's working really well, break it, and you can figure out how to rebuild it after the fact. So it's quite devastating in a lot of ways, not only in affecting the students and their education, but in terms of the implementations in our English department. These changes could mean, up to 50% of our teachers could lose their jobs. And these are teachers who have worked at Dawson for over 10 years, who have professionalized, who have developed incredibly stimulating, interesting courses. It would also mean that the French department would have to hire a host of new teachers who are trained to teach French literature, because we don't have that yet at Anglo-CEGEPS. Apparently, there's a shortage of French literature teachers, so this would also be a labor issue.
Yeah, there's so many questions that lie ahead for these changes. We're with Amanda Cockburn, Dawson professor in the English department. We're talking about protests happening this morning at just about 11:30 at Montreal area English CEGEPS. So, Amanda, one of the things that over the last month or two, the last few months, we've talked about these core courses and then these extra courses in French and that. And I think our focus has been there. And one thing that you mentioned off the top is the hard cap on enrollment in English CEGEPS. And that, to me, you can add more French courses to the mix, but as long as you don't cap enrollment in a hard way, well, the English CEGEPS system can continue to grow. Are you worried about the future of the English CEGEP system in this province?
I absolutely am worried about the future of the English CEGEP system in this province. It's ludicrous to me. There's something of the feeling of watching the Notre Dame Cathedral on fire. Dawson College, all of our CEGEP system is commendable. All of the CEGEPs are formidable and wonderful. I speak with pride about Dawson, of course, because I work there. And I see it as, the very model of what an urban downtown college in a global metropolis like Montreal should be. It's a meeting place for different people who speak different languages, who come from different backgrounds. It's a testimony to, where Montreal and where Quebec might stand on the global world stage in the 21st century. And I feel like politicians are bringing 20th century politics into this century and imposing them on young people. We all think in the English CEGEP system, make no mistake, cultivating a French language, protecting French culture is a noble endeavor, and we all want to participate in that. That's why we live in this province. But it doesn't have to be at the cost of English education. Those two things are not in opposition. Yeah. And
Amanda, just to wrap up here, so what are you expecting at 11:30 today? What do you think we'll see at Dawson?
I'm very excited. I think we're going to have some really intelligent student speakers. There are some plans to send some emails to MNAs, and it would be great if listeners could do that too. We're hoping for a media blitz. There's a logo that's been developed saying no à la loi 96. There's a hashtag Mon Cégep, Mon Futur that the students have developed. So yeah, there's some real mobilization happening, and I'm proud of our student body for mobilizing and participating in this way. The teachers and students have been working together, and we want to preserve this culture moving forward. Student bodies at Dawson, Vanier, John Abbott, Marinopolis, Champlain College, all involved this morning. Amanda Cockburn, Dawson professor in the English department. Thank you so much for coming on air. Thank you very much. Have a great day.